Hi, my name is Stephen Gaudino. I work with the programs team at Guidepost Montessori, and I'm here to answer some of the top questions from parents about our kindergarten program.
Why is the third year of Children's House, the kindergarten year, so important?
The reason why the third year is so important is because it's the culmination of the work that the students do both academically and socially in that program. First, academically, they're learning for the first couple of years the components of what is going to come together in their third year. They learn fine motor skills for writing. They learn number sense for being able to perform numerical operations when they get into their third year. They learn the basics of phonemic awareness to be able to read and write stories when they get into their third year. So all of these component skills that are isolated and focused on in their first 2 years come together academically in their third year that both help them reinforce the skills that they learned and integrate that knowledge to build from later on in their academic career. Now, in addition to this, socially, it's a critical piece for them because they're able to see the growth that they made from when they first started within Children's House to the third year where they now have a lot more knowledge and skill than they previously had. So it's this ability to see firsthand what it is to grow, and that growth mindset is going to carry with them as they get older, as well as the leadership skills that they develop by being able to apply what they've learned to lead others within the class and help them in their own academic journeys.
In Montessori classrooms, why are students of different ages grouped together?
Montessori classrooms are mixed age for a few reasons. First, it's a little bit strange actually to not have them be mixed age. It's making an assumption that just because you're the same age as somebody, you're at the same level and you have the same prerequisite knowledge as everyone who happens to be the same age. It's a very arbitrary way to group students. The way that you group students within a Montessori classroom is you group them based on the knowledge and skills that they have so that you're able to help them progress for the next thing that they're ready to learn, regardless of what your age happens to be. So we want to make sure that when we're grouping students, it's not by some arbitrary measure, but by the actual knowledge that the students have acquired to that point. Now, when you have a class of multiple age students, you see benefits in the interactions between those students. Students who are older generally have learned more, have developed more skills over a period of time, and they're able to then help other students who are coming in learn new concepts that they've learned previously and serve as role models for those students as something that they would be able to attain as they work through that class and as they work through that content. As my child progresses, how do the materials progress with my child? As your child progresses in the Montessori setting, the materials progress with them in multiple ways. First, the materials that the students start with are not necessarily the materials that they continue to study with at the end of their progression in the given domain. As the students progress from one material to the next, they get more and more complex materials to work with that match what the student's readiness is for the complexity of the domain. So for example, if you take the binomial cube, which starts as a sensorial puzzle that the students use, it later becomes a tool for understanding binomial expansion that they actually write the formula for. Or if you take, for example, golden beads, at first it's a model of magnitude, understanding what the relationship between 1 and 10 and 100 and 1,000 is. And then as the students start to use it more, it becomes a model for addition, a model for subtraction. And so the students are able to use these materials in different ways over time that gives them a deeper and deeper understanding of the content. Will my child be able to transition to a public school or a traditional setting after being in a Montessori environment? A child will absolutely be able to be successful in a traditional setting or a public school because what it means to be able to be successful in a new setting is exactly the set of skills that you develop in a Montessori setting. So for example, being able to manage yourself, being able to execute, do projects, work with others to accomplish goals, all of these things you learn in a Montessori setting. All of the content that you would need in order to be successful in the next stage, you learn in the Montessori setting, often multiple years before your peers would in a traditional setting. The only real difference that they're going to need to get used to is the type of micromanagement that you often see in a traditional setting. They've already learned the skills to be able to manage themselves, so now they're going to be in an environment where that type of autonomy and agency isn't granted to them to the same extent, which is an adjustment to make, but it's certainly an easier adjustment to make than learning the skills of executive functioning and being able to manage yourself that they now have already developed.
After finishing their kindergarten year, what could I expect my child to learn in a Montessori elementary setting?
Students in an elementary setting learn a lot. If you look at, for example, what students are expected to learn in language, math, science, and history, students learn that content generally about 1 to 3 years ahead of their peers. And the reason they're able to do that is not because the speed is a particular goal. It's actually just a consequence of having a rigorous academic program. It's the way that they study the content that enables them to progress so quickly. Because when they learn something, they build a solid foundation in which they actually derive the knowledge themselves. They're not just memorizing what they've been told and being expected to reproduce it. They actually do original work from the knowledge that they've developed. This enables them to understand it much more deeply and be able to then build on that knowledge much more fluently. So they're not constantly being retaught material year after year, but rather they're focused on building off of the solid foundation that they've gained.